You good? Okay, alright. Wanted to make a quick video about how to install, or not necessarily how to install, solid hardwood floors. This video is really about you can glue down solid hardwood floors onto concrete. So we have about 2,600 square feet in this house. And we had a concrete slab. We were originally going to just redo the concrete and finish the concrete. And we realized we couldn't, so we thought, well, we're going to put down hardwood floors. We looked at engineered flooring. We really wanted to go with some solid hardwood flooring. So 80% of the information out there that talks about gluing down solid hardwood floors to concrete, 80% of the time people say, no, you can't do it. I mean, I heard that over and over again. So this video is actually about two things. You can do it, and I'm going to show you the products we use to do that, and I'm also going to give you a few tips on kind of how to do it and lessons learned from our project. So the thing that made this happen, we chose a 3/4 inch pre-finished hardwood maple from Lumber Liquidators, and we also chose two products that we use to be able to do this: the MVP4 and Bostic's Best. So MVP4 is a vapor protection. So one of the things that you have to do first of all when you're putting down this is test the slab for two things: for moisture, and then test the slab to make sure that it's level. So we tested for moisture. We used a moisture tester. We also put a piece of plastic over it to check it out. It was fine. The other thing that we looked at was leveling. There were a few variations in the slab. They say something over like 3/8 over 10 feet or something like that. Anyway, there was a few variations over the slab, and we thought about putting some leveling in there, and then I started talking to the installers, and they said they've never used it. So just go with the MVP4. So that's what we did. So we put MVP4 on the slab. A couple of things you need to keep in mind when you do that. When you put MVP4 on the slab, of course, totally clean your slab, and it has to be porous. So whether you need to strip anything off of it, an easy test to do, and I've picked this up along the way, is you pour some water on the slab, on the concrete, and if it's still there in 15 minutes, then you know you've probably got a sealer or something on there. So you need to get that off because it has to be porous. So make sure your slab is porous. And then this is applied with an 1/8 inch V-notch trowel. And this is pretty thick stuff, but when you pour it, I mean, it takes a lot of, you can see in here, it takes a lot of elbow grease, it takes a lot of strength to be able to do this. You can see maybe some swirl patterns in the texture there. The cool thing about the MVP product is that it kind of acts as a self-leveler too. When you spread it out with a V-notch trowel, you'll see, you'll come back in and 5 minutes later, you'll see it's kind of settled. And I had to kind of cut it up in a couple of spaces because I went nuts with it, but this product really does stick to the floor. I mean, it's just like super glued to the floor. So that, combined with Bostic's Best, is just fantastic. This product right here, these are about $150 each, and they actually make something now that is a 4-in-1 product. We kind of went overboard just because we wanted to have, you know, the best as far as the underlayment, and just doing research, this is kind of the best. So it's about $150. This is about $150. Our natural maple was about $449 a square foot, and about 2,000 square feet. So you can kind of add that up. This is about 150 square feet, and this is about 200 square feet. After you put the MVP down, you can go ahead and start laying your glue out. So the way that we do that, the way that I did it, and I just kind of followed the manufacturer's instructions, was I measured the length of the room. So I started over here, and I measured 16 1/4, and then the other end of the room, I also measured 16 1/4 away from the wall, and then I popped a line. Actually, this room was probably a little bit longer than that because of the jut out in the wall. But anyway, you pop a line, and then on the slab you go ahead and nail yourself a straight edge, and then you lay your first strip across there. So you've got your line nailed down onto the floor, then you popped another line 16 1/4 inches out, and then you just fill that whole section in with glue. And again, you've got to have a straight edge. So what I did was I took a piece of furring strip, and it's like a 1/2 inch, and I nailed it with concrete nails all the way down. That was my first line, and that was my straight edge. Then again, I measured out 16 1/4, popped another line, filled that in with glue, with the Bostic's Best, and then started laying my floor. So one thing I didn't mention too, when you put this MVP down, it says on the container that you can walk on it within 24 hours. That's not really true. My experience was it's at least about 72 hours. You have to crank the heat up in your house in order for this to dry out. But what you'll find is that when you put this MVP down, the next day you'll come back and it's kind of tacky. And I made the mistake of taking my shoes off and I almost got stuck in a room. So crank the heat up in your house, put this thing down. And both of these, by the way, they're not really hard on the respiratory system. I mean, they're pretty odorless. But anyway, wait about 72 hours to put that down. So back to the flooring. So when you put your flooring down, there's a couple of tips, a couple of things that we learned in doing this. So one of them is, this is essential. This is a floor clamp. So if you want to glue down solid hardwood flooring, pre-finished, you've got to get these floor clamps. The way that the floor clamp works is, has a little edge attached to it and a little screw that kind of pushes against the wall. So you put your floor clamp here, and then you run this over to the other side, and then when you've got it on the boards, you just cinch it down, and it pulls all of the boards together. Nobody really told me about this until I went to Lumber Liquidators and they talked about somebody sold me 6 of these clamps. I thought it was another one of those things that I didn't need. We couldn't have done it without these, so make sure you have these floor clamps. Another thing that you'll need to think about whenever you're gluing down solid hardwood floors, I'm going to show you right here, is taping it. Really just kind of go nuts with the tape. This is a very specific tape, by the way. This is, I think it's like a 280 is the name of it, but it's edge lock, and this is a different brand. I think maybe this one, or maybe they're the same. This one is Scotch, this one is 3M. But it says best for delicate surfaces. You have to use this tape. Here's another tip too. They also tell you on the instructions, don't leave this on overnight on pre-finished flooring. That's not true. You can leave it on overnight. So we were working in here at night, we'd come in, we'd put a section in, we'd leave it on all night, come back the next day and peel it off. It's fine. The only thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to leave it on and weight your flooring down, because if you put weight on top of this, then it's going to be really hard to get up. So tape your flooring as soon as you lay a section and you get it straight, tape it down, and you can't have enough tape. Just tape, 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 tape. And then once you've got it taped down, you can see here we've got some of the glue weighting it down. So as soon as you do that, you know, put weight on the hardwood floor. Also about this glue, they also tell you too that this glue dries very quickly, and so you have to work fast. That's not really the case either. You can see we've kind of got some glue over here on the corner from kind of going into the kitchen piece. That's been down there about 30 minutes, and I'm probably going to get over there to it in about 10 or 15 minutes after doing this, and it'll be fine. So this Bostic's Best glue, when you lay that down, you have time to work with it too. Also too, when you lay a row, if you get it nice and straight, it's still going to move. So in every room that you're doing, whenever you're laying this down, it's really, really important to get your first row straight, tape it down, get clamps on it, make sure that it's straight, get some weight on it, and then leave it, and then come back, go do another room, come back the next day, and you have a straight edge to work from. Some of the installers that I talked to said, just go ahead and lay that straight edge and then do the rest of it. And what I found was that the floor moved too much for kind of a DIYer to be able to do that. So let me just kind of take a look here and see if I'm just going to be cheesy for a second, see if I've missed anything out. Gloves, you guys need gloves. So make sure you have gloves. This Bostic's Best stuff. I've got some gloves right here. This is just 9mm gloves. Not the handgun, it's actually the size of the rubber. So you need rubber working with your wood. Anyway, so yeah, you need gloves and minimal spirit. So make sure with this glue that you're cleaning your hands or using gloves. this is really, really difficult to get off of your skin. So that's kind of a lesson learned there. Also too, when you're laying the flooring, you'll see this is the Bellawood product that we use. When you're laying your flooring, you always kind of want to start your starter row with long boards. And you want to finish your end. So the boards at the beginning of the row and the boards at the end of the row need to kind of be long. The reason why that is because if you've only got a few clamps, if you have a whole bunch of little pieces in there, you're just not going to get it straight. So make sure that your boards are long on the beginning or the end pieces. And anything that's kind of bowed too, you can weigh it down. I just set the boards to the side. I didn't really want to mess with anything that was extremely bowed. Because it does, the tape can only do so much. Clean the edges. So when you're working with this, when you're working with the glue, you'll see right here we kind of have a grip. When you finished a row, make sure you wipe this edge clean. If you get glue in this and then you let it dry, believe me, this is a lesson learned because we had to spend an hour or so digging glue out of this thing. So make sure that you wipe all this up and you get your mineral spirits rag and then you wipe that groove clean. When you come back the next day, you can just go with it. But if you get anything in this groove, it's really difficult to get that out. Another thing on these floors, another tip, is really don't kind of expect it to be perfect. You can look at this floor, and although it's a little